Very few things can divide a fandom as severely as an Endgame romance, as many sitcoms have painfully discovered. Whether it's a mockumentary workplace sitcom, an underrated hangout comedy, or a family-focused affair, the genre is notorious for being hit or miss with its romances. Without question, it's a high-risk, high-reward gamble, as the best sitcom couples elevate their series and can lure in prospective viewers specifically with their relationship, a la Brooklyn Nine-Nine's Jake and Amy, New Girl's Nick and Jess, and The Office's Jim and Pam. Nevertheless, crafting love stories for long-running television shows is a dangerous game. For multi-season titles, main characters have the freedom to date numerous love interests and test their long-term compatibility, but the harsh reality is that every protagonist can only have one happy ever after. Picking a character's endgame is a truly make-or-break decision, however. In fact, otherwise perfect sitcoms can stumble at the final hurdle by making the wrong couple endgame and, as a result, jeopardize their legacy at large. Yet, what exactly constitutes a failed pairing varies with any given title. Jackie and Fez, That 70s Show, 1998 to 2006. Given that most sitcoms spotlight an ensemble, there often comes a time when a pair of vastly different characters are inevitably coupled up simply because they're both members of the main cast. Within That 70s Show, the dating within the friend group trope is on full display, especially when it comes to Jackie, Mila Kunis. Throughout the 8-season comedy, Jackie dates 3 out of the 4 main male cast members, eventually ending up with Fez, Wilmer Valderrama, in the show's disappointing final installment. Jackie and Fez never made sense as a romantic couple, especially considering their history within the show itself. For years, Fez had an unrequited crush on Jackie that, even to the viewer, felt unattainable. When Jackie miraculously decided to reciprocate his feelings, it felt closer to a dream sequence than the climactic payoff of a series-long slow burn. Their relationship was immediately written out in the short-lived sequel That 90s Show, but fans of the original loathed to rewatch the final season and see Fez and Jackie's random romantic subplot. Ryan and Kelly, The Office, 2005 to 2013. The Office is lauded as one of the best American sitcoms of all time, but even the genre-defining mockumentary dropped the ball with one endgame romance. B.J. Novak and Mindy Kaling were both integral to the show's success, as the duo were both writers, directors, executive producers, and scene-stealing actors who portrayed Ryan and Kelly, respectively. After a short flirtation, the two characters dove headfirst into a chaotic on-again off-again relationship, characterized by mutual toxicity and extremely unhealthy attachment styles. The iconic series went out of its way to show how awful Ryan and Kelly were for one another, allowing respites in the form of alternative partners who brought out the best in them only for the two to reconnect like magnets stuck together. For a split second, it seemed as though Kelly would run off with a true Prince Charming, but The Office gave in to the temptation to make its most toxic pairing an endgame couple. Of course, most viewers love to hate their wild relationship, but there's no denying they lived unhappily ever after. Carrie and Mr. Big, Sex and the City, 1998 to 2004. When Sex and the City aired its first episode in 1998, it was abundantly clear that Carrie Bradshaw, Sarah Jessica Parker, and John James, Mr. Big, Preston, Chris Noth, were destined for one another. What started as an awkward meet-cute, however, quickly devolved into a disastrous situationship, and, later, multiple bouts of infidelity. From the start, Mr. Big was Carrie's white whale, an elusive target she obsessed over catching. Once they officially got together, though, it was obvious the real Mr. Big didn't live up to the version in Carrie's head. For all of Sex and the City's flaws, the series was commendable in its commitment to exploring the complexities of womanhood, be it in a breakdown over a stolen baby name or the frustration of watching a close friend lose herself in the fruitless pursuit of love. To that end, Carrie and Big's atypical courtship is irrefutably realistic, but them allegedly falling in love and getting married was far from what either of them deserved. J.D. and Elliot Scrubs, 2001 to 2010. From the tension of enemies to lovers storylines to the allure of opposites attract dynamics, there are plenty of ways to make compelling romances between characters who feel like they shouldn't be together. Ironically, Scrubs feels like the exact inverse. J.D., Zach Braff, and Elliot, Sarah Chalke, were almost immediately set up as a will they won't they, but every passing episode made their relationship less and less appealing. The pair aren't even a couple for the vast majority of the original series, which made their sudden pivot to an ostensibly happy and healthy couple in Season 8 all the more mind-boggling. Frankly, J.D. and Elliot never seemed believable as romantic partners, and them ending up married with children felt like a desperate plea for closure rather than a fitting progression of their relationship. Thankfully, the Scrubs reboot has already retconned their marriage, but there's always time for the sitcom to pull another unnecessarily romantic bait and switch. Haley and Dylan Modern Family, 2009 to 2020. There are countless couples introduced at the beginning of a show whose devotion never wavers, and the viewer can rely on them as a narrative anchor. In stark contrast, the romance between Haley, Sarah Hyland, and Dylan, Reed Ewing, in Modern Family was the most tumultuous subplot in the series. In the TV show's incredible pilot episode, Dylan is introduced as Haley's boyfriend, but their relationship doesn't even survive the first season without a dramatic breakup. Over the course of the mockumentary's 11 seasons, Haley experiences her fair share of romance, most memorably entering a fan-favorite relationship with Andy, Adam Devine, later in the series. Despite Haley herself admitting Andy was her true first love, it's a sentiment the show seemingly forgets by the end, as she instead marries and has twins with Dylan. Some will argue the characters were meant to be because they shared the same shortcomings, but whereas Andy brought out the best in Haley, her endgame status with Dylan felt like an override of her character's nuanced development.